As an entertainment attorney, I deal with all kinds of different brands and companies and musicians, artists, painters, gamers, YouTubers, and what they all have in common is that really they're approaching this industry as a business. And so building all that goodwill having to do with your name and your logo, you want to make sure that you protect it by getting a registration for your trademark. But what I find is that there's a lot of confusion in regards to the difference between a state trademark versus a federal trademark. So in this video, we're going to discuss the difference between state and federal trademarks. Hi guys, I'm Miss Krystle. I'm an entertainment attorney and public speaker. I'm the owner of Dukes Up Records, and most importantly, I'm an independent musician. As the case study for this video, one of my clients called my office this week, and he had a question in regards to a character that he's developed. Now, the character he uses in association with his music as well as different things, but the interest is that he wants to license the character or intellectual property to someone else who's going to develop, let's say, a game as well as a comic book centered around this particular character. So the question is, if you don't have an actual registration, what's the best approach? Do you want to do a state registration? Do you want to do a federal registration? Doesn't make any difference. So let's start with state registrations. When we talk about state registrations, you typically will file with either what's called a trademark office in your state, or it might just be the Secretary of State. It's going to differ depending on where you live, so do your research, but what is common is that there's going to be some minimal filing fee, and the benefit is that it goes pretty quick. At least for where I live, the filing fee is $10, and then also the process is typically just a few days. It's very, very fast. And of course, the benefit is going to be that now you have protection for the entirety of your state for your trademark. Conversely now, let's talk about a federal registration. When you file a federal registration, you're filing through the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And we say federal, really we're talking about nationwide. So if you get a registration, now you have protection in all of the states. And the other thing that you have to keep in mind is that a federal registration trumps a state registration. So even if you actually do have a state registration, if it just so happens that someone has priority over you and they actually do have a federal registration, they're gonna win, you're gonna lose. Now, considering whether you want to actually go through the federal registration process, keep in mind a couple of things. Number one, it takes monumentally longer to get through the federal process. At a minimum, you're looking at 6 to 9 months. And that's in probably average, but some clients are gonna run into some issues because let's say other trademarks come up that cause some concern for the attorney who's reviewing your application at the USPTO. And so now you gotta kind of duke it out to try and get that registration. Of course, at this point, we hope that you actually have an attorney and so you're able to get through that process a little bit easier. But the point just being, you're still looking at 6 to 9 months, even in a best case scenario. So because of the investment of time and money, which is what we're going to talk about in a second, you have to just think carefully about what marks you want to register and go through this process for. Now, on the financial side, definitely a lot more expensive, so not just $10. Now you're looking at, with an average office, charging usually roughly between $900 and $1,200 up front. And so that's going to be inclusive of all the attorney time. That's going to be inclusive of usually 1 to 2 filing fees, because the filing fee is between $225 and $275, depending on what you're registering your trademark for. So there's a lot more consideration that goes into when you want to actually file a registration. There are, of course, huge benefits to actually getting the federal registration. First of all, we discussed it trumps a state registration. It also gives a presumption that you are, in fact, a valid owner. And what I mean by that is if you have to enforce your mark in a court of law, now you have a piece of paper that says you are the trademark owner. And so it makes things go a little bit easier. And then I've also found that when we're doing things like takedown notices, it's very quick. I can get things taken down usually just a matter of hours, so long as you have an actual trademark certificate and you have the underlying information needed to effectuate those takedowns. Other benefits will include, I'm sure you guys have seen it, the R with a circle. You can use that now in association with your mark, with your branding, and so it acts as notice to all the world that you are the owner of this registered mark. And side note, I know I'm now interchanging and so it might be confusing. We commonly will refer to a trademark as just a mark. means the same thing. Another benefit might be that if you are trying to get a foreign trademark, your registration within the United States can be a basis for getting that foreign trademark. And of course, you're going to be listed in the USPTO as a registered trademark owner, and so it acts again as constructive notice, just meaning it's putting the world on notice that you are the owner. And so if an infringer pops up, which inevitably it happens, now you have a registration to say, well, you should have done your due diligence. You should have done a search and you would have found that my mark is in fact registered. So going back to my case study, in this instance, my client doesn't have a whole lot of money, and nor do a lot of my kind of up-and-comer artists or musicians have a lot of money to kind of blow, we'll say loosely, on a federal registration, or now just isn't the right time. But of course, there's a concern that you want to get the process started as early as possible. While that's true, at a minimum, you might even want to just take a step to get the registration in your state as a baby first step, and then kind of work your way towards that federal registration at some point in the near future. But what a lot of people don't know is that you still have trademark rights, even if you don't have a registration. Those rights are subject to common law trademark rights. And it basically just means that if you are actually using and regularly exploiting your mark, your symbol, your logo, you are building, let's say, a paper trail so that you can now, if ever needed, oppose a registration. And I've seen this happen. So we talked about the USPTO. And so if someone was trying to register your mark and you caught wind of it, well, now you actually have a right to oppose that, even if you don't have a valid registered mark. And that has to do with common law rights. So just know that the law still protects you in its own kind of way, but it comes through actual use. So the sooner you start using your mark, the better. That was your quick overview on the difference between a state versus federal registration. Well, and I guess we also discussed common law rights as well. So hopefully you guys have a better understanding of how this all kind of works. Obviously, I'm going to say always get an entertainment attorney or someone experienced with filing federal trademark applications through the USPTO. The website, the application is very complicated, and if you make a mistake, it may cause your application to be rejected. So you just lost all the time, all the money. It's no good. So try to get some help if you can. And come say hi on social media, because why not? It's been amazing meeting you guys. Instagram is definitely the easiest platform to get in contact with me. And yeah, tell me about what you guys are doing, how we can help, and let's make friends. I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for watching this video. We release videos just like this once a week to help you with your music careers and getting you to the next level. We talk about things like music marketing, but of course the more lawyer stuff like trademarks, copyright, and everything in between. If you haven't already, please be sure to hit subscribe, turn on those bell notifications so you get notified every time a new video goes up from your favorite redhead, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm Miss Krystle. Bye.